evening, everyone. It is so good to see everybody here tonight for District 38 Club Officer Training. I want to welcome you all. Club Officer Training is an important time of year for each of us. It's an opportunity for us to come together as a community, to connect with one another, to learn the tips of our trade, so to speak, and to collaborate with one another. There's some things I want you to walk away with today, but before I do that, I want to begin with a quote from Helen Keller. And I think it's so appropriate for us in Toastmasters. And this is what Helen had said. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Isn't that so true in Toastmasters? When we collaborate and unite with one another and team up with one another, we can accomplish so much, not only for ourselves, but our communities. I want you to take a moment and look around on this screen. And just look around. And I want you to ask, what connects each of us? Yes, we are here today as club officers, but more importantly, we are so much more than that. We are part of something so much bigger. And I want you to begin to think differently about what you belong to. Term club is a technical term that we use. But what we belong to is a community, if you think about it. Jim McKay and I could belong to the same racquetball club. Jim could care less how well I do if I'm on a different team, right? But if I'm on his team, he's going to do everything he can to help me so we can beat the other team. But in Toastmasters, that's different. Doesn't matter what community we belong to, whether it's ETS Toastmasters, whether it's Collegeville, whatever, whether it's IPS or whether it's in-person Toastmasters or York Toastmasters or any number of clubs, we pull for each other. And that's what makes us a community. We may be a small community in our own club. For example, I belong to Lower Bucks Toastmasters. We might be part of that. That's a small community, but you're part of a bigger community than that, because then it goes to the area, which may have about, I don't know, about 4 or 5 clubs in it, right? And then you go to the division, which could have 25 clubs. Then there's the district that has over 100 and some clubs. They're all resources that you can connect to with other Toastmasters and other club officers to learn from, to grow from. And then we have Toastmasters International out in Colorado. That's your steps for help. You should be able to get your answers before you get to Toastmasters. And if not, then you go to Toastmasters, because after your division, then there's your district leaders. So you are part of so much bigger than what you can imagine. And I want you to think of yourselves as a community of officers today. Because uh, if you're here for the breakout session that's going to occur a little bit later on, I want you to walk away with 3 names from officers outside your club. I want you to connect with 3 people. And I want you to use them as your accountability partner. So that if you have an issue this year, there's someone you can go to that can maybe help you resolve, that might have a different perspective than your own club. But I also want you to hold yourself accountable to your members and have your members be accountable to you, because that's what's going to make your club successful this year. Because when we hold each other accountable, we grow and we help others grow. And that is the distinction between a club and a community. And I want you to seriously give that a thought and take that back to your clubs. Take it back to your members. What you learned today, take it back to your members, include your members, engage them. Because we don't operate in silos, either as officers or as club members. We need to recognize members in our clubs that maybe haven't been to meetings recently. When we show we care with one another, that's what holds the glue in our club. We lose members because members don't feel like they're attached or that they belong. or they don't feel comfortable. It's when we make each other feel comfortable in our own space is when they stay. When we recognize that person that sits in the back of the room that doesn't take a table topics for weeks, or even on a Zoom meeting if you have it, call on that person. Make them feel participant, part of your community. Because this year we are asking our community of Toastmasters to move fearlessly forward. That is your district director's theme. Fearlessly forward, to step up and do that meeting role, to do that next beat, to do what it takes to engage with each other. And as your program quality director, there's only one theme for the year, which represents our conference theme, which is Michelle Westgate's theme for the year, Fearlessly Forward. But as your program quality director, I am asking all club officers to be an ACE. And that stands for accountable, collaborative, and engaging. And funny thing, going to the convention this past week, that's what they were teaching everybody at the convention, asking everybody to have accountability partners. So District 38 is way ahead of the game on the theme this year. But it's much more than a theme, right? Because when we hold each other accountable, don't we do more? Don't we seek out the other person to make sure that they're accomplishing what they need to accomplish? We're supporting them, and that's what's important. So be accountable, be collaborative, be engaging, and you're going to see the difference in your clubs this year. And we're on the last leg of our training. My goal is 100% training for all officers. And the reason for that is so that you can qualify for the club incentive for officers trained. But not only that, when you have 100% officers trained, that's 100% engagement, that's 100% accountability. And not only that, I want to see each club's name in lights on our District 38 website. If you haven't seen it, it's called the Hall of Excellence. I want to shine your club's name brightly on our District 38 website. So let's get 100% officers trained. And with that, I'm going to introduce our presenter for our concentration session. She is your education chair this year. She has been doing this presentation for all the officer training. It's a phenomenal deep dive into the club success plan, which clubs are required to submit online by September 30th to even qualify for the Distinguished Club program. That's important because when you engage with your members, don't worry about the dashboard. When your members are engaged and you're engaged with them, your numbers will show up on the dashboard. What's important is your members. And if your members are engaged and doing their levels and participating in meetings and you're gaining new members, you don't have to worry. You're going to be distinguished by year end. But if you do all that and don't submit your club success plan, you won't even qualify. So let's welcome, come off mic, and let's give a big welcome to Chris Velasco, our District 38 Education Chair. Welcome, Chris. Take it over.
Yay!
Woo!
Thank you, Anne. I am very excited to be here tonight, and I'm going to be explaining how critical the club success plan is this year and will also act as your framework for the entire year. The club success plan, when completed the way I'm going to go through this tonight, the way I'm suggesting it be completed, should help you retain members and create a community with your club members. As Anne was saying, when members feel like they are part of a group, they're not an outcast, you have invested interest in their well-being, in their progress, they'll stay as members because they're going to be happy. Now, also, headquarters changed the requirements of the Distinguished Club program, and I'm going to touch upon that. But this year, because the club success plan must be submitted by every single club, and that means no excuses. We really want to make sure that it's being filled out in the most beneficial way to your club. Now, with the changes in our district coming in July, it's also a fantastic reason for you to complete the club success plan, because we want our clubs to be in the most tip-top shape before our district changes and we blend with other districts and clubs. We want to make sure the District 38 clubs are shining like no other district clubs are. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to walk through the plan, because believe it or not, there's new officers that may be here today, but in all my classes, I've actually had people that have been officers before, and they said they never knew where this stuff was. It was shocking. When you log on to your Toastmasters International site, now my landing page is my welcome screen. Here's my base camp, and here's the achievement board. I want to just point this out because I'm going to be referencing it later. Keep scrolling down. Here's your Club Central. All officers should be more than familiar with Club Central. You're going to find your membership lists in here. Here's your club contact and meeting information. Believe it or not, there are clubs that have the wrong information listed in there. And this Find a Club up here, this is where you get your guests from. They may be coming to the Toastmasters International site, clicking on Find a Club, and they may sort through by what days are available to attend a meeting. And if you don't have the right town, the right meeting place, the right days and times of your meeting, you may not be getting any traction. Also, make sure that your club is either listed as a closed corporate club or an open community club. When I first became division manager, I had 2 clubs in my division that were listed as closed. No wonder why they weren't getting any guests. Club success plan, it's right here. And I want to tell you, all clubs should be doing this together as a group. You can easily send out a copy for everybody to review ahead of time. Maybe jot down some ideas, and then when you get together as a group, you share your ideas, because it should not just be one person's opinion throughout this whole plan. Here is the new Distinguished Toast Club program. We have Smedley Distinguished. It's a brand new category, and you need 25 members. My club, this is all based on my club. My club has 20 members at the moment. We need 5 more to qualify for Smedley Distinguished. We have 1 goal already met, so we need 9 more, or this will be 10 goals for the year. As you can see, in order to qualify for any of these, you have to complete your club success plan online. And I have to tell you, last year, my community club, we were 6 members short. That's a lot. In April, once all the renewals came in, we were 6 members short. We advertised like crazy, and wouldn't you know it, we had 2 old members return to our club, and we got 4 new members. We met our 6. If this was last year, we never would have qualified for the plan if we didn't submit our club success plan. So thankfully we did, and we got select distinguished. So never count your club out. submit the club success plan. And like I said, if you fill it out the way I'm going to go through this and suggest, I think you're going to notice a difference in your club culture and your members. Now, the plan has the plan, which we're going to go through, and an action item list. I'm going to be going through this a little bit later, but let's dive right in to the plan. If you've done this last year, you'll notice education has been boosted up to the top. Education and membership are top priorities this year. Each section will remind you of what is needed in that section for the DCP. But as I said, just follow your club success plan. I'm sure your points are going to just come naturally if you do some of the suggestions. VPEs, you're going to be super happy. Look at this path progress section. This gets all the information from Basecamp. So as you can see, there are on Urata and Atul, they have a clear box because they have not completed any levels. I'm listed here as completing 3 levels in one of my paths. I'm going to just click off my name as completing level 1. I'm committing to completing level 1 in my new path, persuasive influence. Now, if you look over to the right, Kim Keenan has already completed her level. And then projected, because I committed myself here, my name is appearing as projecting to complete a level. And as you can see, we have Jim is committed for level 5, Joyce for level 3. Oh, there's Priya, and here's Priya's name over here. So when you sit and discuss the member progress with each of your members and ask them, do you think you're going to be able to level up this year? Try and get a commitment for at least 1 level. And if you check them off here, you'll be able to see if all goes according to plan, I should have 5 people completing level 1, 2 will complete level 2, and I'm predicting I'm going to have 2 more for level 2. We have 2 people that
Hold on. I'm trying
level,
to get this.
level 3.
Get out of driving
Level
mode.
4 is Evelyn. She already completed her level 4. And Jim Samuels bringing it in with his level 5 and path completion. So this is going to help you plan your year. And if you know, depending on the level, what projects are involved, you can listen and look out for possible projects within your club or maybe at the area or division level where they can complete their projects so they can complete their levels. Over here is your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. All you do is click off the name of anybody that is striving to complete their DTM. Now, Evelyn is striving to complete her DTM. Now, anytime I look at this screen, I'll note and be reminded of to listen to see if there's any opportunities within the district or within the division to complete a big project, something that would count as her DTM project. Plus, there are different things that are required for your DTM, certain services that have to be completed, like serving as a club coach or a club mentor, completing a or creating a youth leadership program, things like that. So I can listen for opportunities for Evelyn. Now, if you're not aware of, to become a DTM, you must complete 1 full path and 3 levels of a second path. And then the member calls or emails clubs, Toastmasters International, and they request the DTM path. It's a special path that has to be added to your base camp. That outlines all of the requirements for a Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And that way the person can stay organized throughout the whole progress. They can work with their BPE and see what they need to complete it. So please try and use this as a way to plan your year, but also, when Priya does complete her level 1, it will turn into a shaded gray box with the check mark. So you'll be able to keep track of everything here. Now, as I said, this is my home club's CSP. So you're getting to see what we're going to be submitting. Strategies and tactics. You definitely need to have a strategy for your Toastmaster year. It's your goals, it's your aspirations for where you want your club to go or what you want to accomplish. Now, what are some ways to motivate members to progress through their education program? We hear this all the time. Like, nobody wants to give speeches, nobody's doing this or that. It could come down to training. Did your club give your members an orientation session? Not everyone is really intuitive when it comes to computers and programs. And we all complained about Basecamp when we first rolled this program out. So please just offer a redo, a refresher on the new member orientation, how to select a path, how to get into Basecamp, how to check off a project, go through the screens, and how to submit a level. Some people get very confused. Talk to your members. Do they need assistance? It could be as simple as, I don't know what to write a speech about. Well, there's a whole advanced manual on how to find a speech topic. You may want to have someone in your club give that as an example. That may be the little push momentum or inspiration that they needed. The mentor-mentee relationship. How is it going? We pair people up, but you know what? Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes the mentor or the mentee is too busy and the schedules just clash. Sometimes it could be personality, but a lot of times it is scheduling. Check in on the mentor-mentee relationships. Make sure that the mentee is comfortable, they're getting the attention from their mentor. And if you need to pivot and select somebody else, it's all good. At least they'll be paired with someone that they are going to click with and they're going to move on in their path. We don't have themes in our meetings. We're going to incorporate some themes. And we're going to see if it just makes a difference in our meetings. We got into a rut. We're going to try and dig out of that rut. And we're also going to be giving presentations from the Better Speaker series and the Leadership Excellence series. You can find links to these in the District 38 webpage. And we just so happen in September, we are going to have a tour of the District 38 webpage by its creator, Michael Freelander. You can join that masterclass if you want to see all the great things that he has posted on there. What are obstacles? Now, as I always say, you can't find a solution if you don't recognize the problem, right? You have to recognize where your club may have a shortfall, where you need improvement. Once you recognize that and you put it down on paper, then you can try and find solutions. Are members confused about Basecamp? All right, if they are, bring them back through, do a tutorial, set up one-on-ones if you have to, or do it in your club meeting so everybody gets a refresher. I made a video for member orientation. So now if I'm not available, they can click on the video and I walk them through everything. We're also going to review how to choose a topic. But what about this? What if members are not available to attend your meeting? We have corporate clubs where meetings can be noon to 1 o'clock. It's an IT person. They get put on a project that lasts 4 months, and every planning meeting just happens to be noon to 1 o'clock on your meeting day. What are you going to do? If they still want to move in their path, set up just an alternate time for them to give a speech. When you have a speaker, all you need is a timer and a speech evaluator. That counts. And they can then complete a project in their path. So sometimes the obstacle is your members can't get to you. But if you offer them an accommodation, it may help keep that member, because who's going to pay for another renewal period if they can't attend meetings? But if you make an accommodation, they'll renew because they know they can keep on moving along in their path. Community clubs can go through the exact same thing. You have someone that all of a sudden a parent is sick. They have to fly somewhere else and take care of them, or they moved into their home and now they can't leave the house for meetings. They're caring for a parent, or could be a child, a spouse, and it's just not convenient for them to get someone to come in so they can attend a club meeting. By reaching out to your members to talk about their progress, you may find out what is really going on. Sometimes we don't know what people are going through in their life, but if you reach out to them as any good neighbor would, or a good friend would in their community, you may find out that they need assistance. You can maybe offer an accommodation for that member. If they can go out at 1 o'clock, but not attend the meeting at noon, meet for coffee. Not only would they appreciate that you're doing that for them, but you're giving them a little respite of what they're going through in their daily life. So just think about the obstacles that are keeping your members from moving through their projects and try to come up with different solutions. Now, here's the action items that I said I was going to show you later. When you think of things, of how to tackle the various different issues that you may experience, you create an action item. So for here, I'm going to review project completions and levels with each member. I'm also going to have a group lesson as well, and whoever attends, great. Otherwise, I'll meet with them one-on-one. I'm going to do this we have in-person and online meetings, but I'm going to do it in person. So I could point things out and it'll be a lot easier. So I need a projector in order to do this at a Saturday meeting at the library. And I'm going to walk through how to complete a project online and how to submit the level. Because I did find out recently 2 members were having trouble figuring out how to do level completions. So I'm going to do a step-by-step tutorial. So that way, there is now an action item. Okay, and I'm going to show you where that goes in a minute. In your education engagement, how familiar are your members with pathways? Again, new member orientation. It can go back that far. especially if someone, they didn't sign up for pathways, they were still doing the old program, they don't want to do pathways. Well, maybe you did convince them to do pathways, but they're too embarrassed to ask for help. So you have to recognize that. You have to go out of your way and, again, help your members, make them feel valued and wanted in the club, and then you'll get them to be more receptive. We put ourselves as a 2 because of what I was finding out as the new VPE. So through the orientation video, our mentors, and through speech introductions and additional instruction, we are going to promote pathways. And how do we do that with speech introductions? Instead of just saying, and Billy Bob is giving his speech, the long and winding road. No. What path is Billy Bob in? Billy Bob is in the presentation mastery path. He's on level 1, will be completing the project, Writing with Purpose. Title of his speech, The Long and Winding Road, Billy Bob. That's a way to promote everything. And what you could also do, ask the speech evaluator to read the purpose statement. That way, the whole audience knows what they should be listening for and watching for. Because if it's vocal variety, body language, if it's storytelling, inspiring others, for them to know what the purpose is, now they're a little bit more invested in watching this speech because they want to see if Billy Bob accomplishes it. So read the purpose statement. And I consider that a way to promote pathways because I got interested in another path by watching somebody else go through their levels and the projects that they had to complete. I found them very interesting, so I purchased the path. Okay, so we're also going to have the projector, we're going to have training and mentors. We're going to have mentor training or at least mentor support. Sometimes, even though you complete level 2, you may not be a confident mentor. Sit with your mentors. Tell them what expectations you have as officers with them as a mentor. They should review base camp. They should be encouraging, try and rehearse speeches, go through a couple of things. Otherwise, if you just say, oh, you're a mentor and you're paired with Sally, they may not realize what they need to do because they really weren't picking up on it when they were the mentee. So try and create some type of guidelines for your mentors. How will your club prepare its new members? Well, we're going to definitely have member orientation. We're going to review pathways, the base camp, and we're going to be promoting it. And then again, more action items. How are we taking steps in order to fulfill all of those things? What is fantastic is that after you do your club success plan, your president is going to be able to go to this action item list, and during your officer meetings, they're going to get to see all the action items and what's due when, because you can download it. You can see who's supposed to do what and by when. And then they can keep you on track throughout the year so that things don't get slipped through the cracks and you just forget, oh yeah, we were supposed to do this. We're supposed to have a guest speaker and stuff. If you get those reminders from your club president, you're more apt to have a successful year and to reach all of your goals. Now, the membership. This is a big one because we do have some little struggles with member retention. And a lot of times, yes, it could be because some members, there's conflicts and everything, but sometimes it's because they don't feel they're getting anything out of the program, or they don't feel they are visible by the other club members. You need to make your members feel wanted, and you have to engage them. So that's what we're going to concentrate on here. Now, your membership goals. As I said, my club wants to be Smedley distinguished. We're going to get to 25, but that's not just adding 5. Remember, you may have some members that do not renew. Unfortunately, we did have a member pass away this year. So we're not adding 5 members, we are adding 6 members. And your VPE, your president, or any officer should be able to just kind of gauge who's showing up, who's being active, who's not doing anything. And you can almost predict who's not going to renew. Those are especially the people you have to try and bring them back into the fold. So what's your club's plan to motivate the current members to renew? Personal contact. We are going to make sure, and we're divvying this up. We have 6 different officers. One officer has 2 roles. We are definitely going to fan out and start making connections with our members. So this way, they have not just one person that's their friend, they're going to be close or closer to all the officers as well. They're going to know that we're there to support them, and they're going to know that we want them in the club because of what they bring. So, better meeting planning. We're going to try and get a little bit more organized by making sure we have that agenda filled out ahead of time. So that means sending out emails prior, 2 days prior at least, getting members to take roles. And for the new members, you don't just hand them the timing cards and expect them to just know when to flip up each one. Have someone sit with them. If it's not their mentor and another experienced member, sit with them and teach them how to do the role. Not everything is just easy to pick it up. What's your club's plans to gain new members? Well, we are going all out this year, promoting through the library. The library that we belong to has online events by all kinds of different organizations. We're going to be creating different programs, and we're going to pitch it to the library. Say we want to do one on interviewing skills. We can do another one on mentoring. And as we're doing it, we're plugging our club and what our club can do for them. All that type of thing. We can do one on impromptu speaking. There's a lot of different programs we can offer people that go to that library, and it's all a promotion of our club. So if they like the online tutorials that are only going to be an hour, some are only 45 minutes, they may come. We're going to put a sign in the front, and we're going to state our free Toast site, because at least 3 of our members went to the tutorials, and we learned a lot about ways to attract guests through what our free Toast site looks like. And the Easy Speak clubs can do the same thing. Here's our action items. So we are ready to go, but let me just talk about what you as officers can do for your clubs. Now, presidents, I am sure that you congratulate people for their icebreakers, their level completions, and who has received a DTM award, but there's a lot more that you can celebrate members for. If you had members that were super shy when they joined your club, but now all of a sudden they became a volunteer in the communities, even Girl Scout leader, Boy Scout leader, you got to deal with the parents. You have to be able to speak on your feet and do a lot of impromptu speaking. You need to plan. You need to have everything prepared. Those are all Toastmaster skills. So when you hear that Sally is now a Girl Scout leader, congratulate her on that, because she gained her confidence in your club. You helped her do that. And now she's doing something brand new in her club and in her life that should be celebrated. What if somebody was put on the board of trustees for the hospital? Why not? That's something to celebrate. Everyone likes to be recognized, and it's at least exciting for other club members to hear that Toastmasters celebrates all of our successes, not just our pathway successes, but everything that we do. VPMs, well, and when you bring people in, you're talking to your new members, going back and forth with emails and the forms, and you're getting them the application submitted. Join your VPE for the club orientation. If you think about it, because there's already a relationship between that guest and your VPM, have the VPM start off the new member orientation training. Have them show them how to log in and select the path. And then the VPE can then show them how to navigate Basecamp. That way, that new member now knows two people that are fluent on Pathways and Basecamp. They have two people in addition to the mentor that they will be assigned to ask questions, because that guest may not have met that VPE yet. So it's a great, nice, warm handoff to the VPE, and it's another connection that they have. And here's a big one. Years ago, we were all in person, and SAAs used to stand at the door and welcome every member that came in, whether it was a guest, an experienced member, maybe a member that's visiting from another club. We welcomed them with a handshake and brought them in. The SAA showed them that membership book or the guest book. They signed in. Some clubs put name tags on so everybody gets to know who's a guest. Why don't we do a tag team? SAA still does that. You welcome all the guests that come in, show them where that book is, have them sign in. VPM, come over. Now it's tag team. SAA goes back to the door. The VPM is there, talking it up about the club, how long we've been here, how successful you are. If you do have the marketing pieces that you can get through Toastmasters International using your district dollars, give them a couple of pieces, but at least give them an agenda that has all the contact information on it. All right. And where you meet, what day and what time. So that at least if they leave with an agenda, they have all the information they need. So as you're talking them up, you're going to spot a seat in the room and walk them over, but it should be sitting them next to one of the friendliest people in the room. That person can then help them throughout the meeting, leaning over. We clap at everything, okay? Table topics, it's impromptu speaking. These are prepared speeches. Giving those little cues so that they're not sitting there trying to figure things out all by themselves. Now they came for one meeting, but they know the SAA, they know the VPM, and they know one other member. The second time they visit, they'll already have met 3 people if they didn't meet more after the meeting. That's a way to really turn a guest into a member. You're not just saying, having somebody wander in and sit down and nobody notices them. So try and institute those old practices that we used to have, really welcome the members in, and making sure that they feel super comfortable. And you can do the same thing online by the SAA asking the person to open up the chat and chatting with them online, telling them what everything means and what's going on. Okay, officer training. That's what we're here for. Anne wants 100% trained. Okay, my club has committed to that. And we did have all 7 officers trained this year. But let me just tell you, we find that clubs that do not send their officers to training, or they don't even have the 4 minimum, usually do struggle throughout the year. They're not growing as a club. You look at their DCP dashboard, there's no educational points. It's really sad. And even if you send the 4 minimum, then you miss all the different things like that you're going to learn in the breakout sessions, or learning here about the club success plan and how important this is to your club. Those officers don't know any of that. So what I'm asking is, try and get all of your officers trained. We have had an increase this year with the number of clubs with all 7 officers trained. As Ann said, it's on the District 38 website, and I am blown away at the number of clubs that are listed on that homepage. And I told people at all my training sessions, if clubs have all the officers trained, I'm going to be following up. I'm going to try and pop into club meetings. I'm going to email and see how it's going. I want to see if it makes a difference in a club if all 7 officers are trained for both sessions. Because I really do believe that officer training, you get motivated and you get inspired, especially when you meet all the other officers in the breakout sessions and you hear something like how the club success plan can just totally change the trajectory of your club. So it may be a little late or maybe not. We still have training on Wednesday and Thursday, noon to 1. So any officers that have not been trained yet, they can still get trained. Try and get them to training and see if it's going to make a difference. Now, what are some ways to motivate your officers? Let me tell you something. If you're volunteering as an officer, you should already be motivated. We are volunteering to be an officer in our club. That's being a leader. Leaders should always welcome any kind of assistance, any type of instruction to make it me be the best leader I can be. Every year, the training is different. This year, we're starting off with the club success plan. Rachel Hooks is the training coordinator. She's doing a totally different program in the winter months. Of course, I'm going to go because I want to hear what's going on. So you should already be motivated. But if you have to, try and think of ways to motivate, create an action item, and just add it to your plan here. But I'm hoping you're going to check the dashboard on the District 38 website, go down to club officers trained, and see what officers in your club have not attended yet, and give them a call. Don't email them, because me and Ann's been emailing people all week. Call them. The phone number is in your member list, which I showed you before. Please try and get them to attend training. Now, the administration part. These are two items that seem very simple, but you know, there are so many clubs that do not do these two things. They are submitting their membership dues on time and submitting their officer list on time. Now, the membership due renews is right now. You need 8 paid memberships before September 30th. If you have a club with only 8 members, yes, you may have a struggle. But if you have 7 different people as officers, that's at least getting all the officers done. Like if you have a larger club, have all of your officers pay their dues on time, then you only need 1 additional person. So try and do it now. But now I'm going to appeal to the treasurers out there. Treasurers, it's August. Dues isn't due until end of September. You should have already sent out a dues renewal notice to everyone. Finances are tough for some people, and you may even know which people in your club may have some struggle paying their dues on time. When you have someone like that, give them more notice. They may need to just finagle their budget in order to be able to afford that $60. So don't just give them 2 weeks notice or 30 days notice. My club, I asked my treasurer, can you give everyone 60 days notice? And we sent it out. The dues renewal was available online. So we put it out there. It's open just in case anybody had a financial hardship. Another hint or suggestion is if you do have somebody on a very fixed budget, we can't do anything for this renewal period, but if your club has a side account for club dues, ask them to give you $10 a month. And then you put it in your club dues account. Keeping track of it in your spreadsheet. Okay, Sally's paying $10 a month, and she paid October, November, December, and so on. That way, it's more affordable for her because it's only $10 a month. And by the time March comes around and the April dues renewal, you're going to have her $60. So try and accommodate people that need that little extra help. And I got to tell you, allowing that person grace and being sympathetic and showing empathy for their situation goes a long way. Now, the officer list. In my club, the secretary submits the officer list, but your club, it may be different. The officer list should be submitted online on or before June 30th, but never wait till June 30th because the Toastmaster website is crammed with people all trying to do it. I always say get it done like the 10th of the month in June. If your club election is not until July, you update the same officers in June. You could always change your officer list because if somebody has to leave the club or they back out, you could always change someone throughout the whole year. So just submit them online. Or what if someone gets called away, right? Bob is our secretary and he was called away on business. He's not around in order to update the officer list. Well, you know what? This is what our club did. We created an action plan. Reka, she's our club secretary, on June 10th. She's going to submit the officer list on time. Okay. All right. But what if Reka, something happened? She's sick. She had to go out of town. All right. There was a storm and her power is out. So on June 11th, we're going to have the president and the VP checking that officer list. And if it's not updated, we're going to update it. This way, we have a backup plan. And you can have a backup to the backup if you want, but we are definitely going to have our officer list in here on time. And because our club president will be monitoring all of these action items on a monthly basis, we'll all be reminded early June of who has to do what. Now, the last thing here, this says optional, but please do this section. This is an amazing section, and really, you're going to learn a lot about your club if you go through these questions. Now, it starts off saying, how are you going to follow the Toastmaster values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence? But if you think about it, all the different suggestions that I've been giving you, they all fulfill these. I'm treating members with integrity because I'm not going to broadcast who has a financial problem. I'm being respectful for them as a member. I'm committing service. I am taking my time to help others in my club. So that is service. And then excellence. I'm striving for excellence. So all of these suggestions are ways that I am displaying the Toastmaster values. And by doing this, your members will respond. Now, how decisions will be made. I got a lot of laughs when I was in Division C. Some clubs have one person that just rules the iron fist, and they put down that gavel, and it's their way or the highway. We can't do that anymore. Too many things have changed, and we need to have all the club officers work together as a team. One person cannot make the decisions and just come down hard with who's doing what and when, everything. And that could be a red flag if you have someone that's pushing for that. Maybe that's, if you're having membership declining, that could be why. Sometimes there are members that rule that way. And because they've been in the club for so long, they've been there, done that, and this is the way it's always been done. That may be the way it's always been done, but our club membership is going down and people aren't happy. So you need to make a change. You need to, each officer does make their decisions within their role. But then when it comes to the bigger decisions, you need to work together. Even an open house, one person can't just say, all right, October 15th, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We're having the open house, blah, blah, blah. What about if someone was going away? What about if somebody just wasn't available because they had a business trip, vacation planned, or we just don't have enough time to organize something of that scale in a short period of time? You need to work together. And the same with this club success plan. If you're all working together and coming up with different solutions for the problems that you're going to be identifying, well, you know what? Now you have a collaborative document. And because of those action steps, this is a living document because you can always pivot. You're always updating and changing things depending on how it's going throughout the year. How will your officers resolve differences of opinion? Well, that's an easy one. We are Toastmasters. And if you really believe in those core values that I reviewed before, you're going to be able to speak in a very respectful manner, communicate what your thoughts or feelings are, and the person receiving any criticism should be able to receive it in a very mature way. Just like speech evaluations, we learn how to give feedback, do it the same way, and nobody should be offended. And if they are, well, that's another red flag. All right. And that's something else you may need to discuss. How will your officers be accountable? Just like Ann said at the opening, accountability. Sometimes we have people that are an officer and it's name only. Well, remember that accomplishment section that I pointed out? This is where this comes into play. When you're an officer for an entire year, you're given credit in that accomplishment section. Chris Velasco is VPE for the 25-26 Toastmaster year. Yes, I was, right? What if you have someone, let's say your SAA, would show up on time? They don't get the room ready. Sally's doing all the work, right? Sally's there getting the chairs all lined up and putting out the book and everything. Well, this is where you have to hold each other accountable. You have to tell Billy Bob, hey, are you going to be the SAA this year? Otherwise, you have to come up in time, come here in time. So Sally's not doing it. I can't get here beforehand. Then you have a decision, as we talked about above. You have a decision to make. What are you going to do with that role? You're going to have to tell Billy Bob to step aside, ask anyone else to take it, or Sally can be the SAA as well, and she'll get credit for 2 roles for the year. For a DTM, you have to be a club officer for a year. So who's to say that Billy Bob, he's not going to decide in 3 years he wants to become a DTM, because he's great with giving speeches and stuff like that, but he didn't want the responsibility of being an officer. Well, you don't want him to get credit for a job he didn't do. So hold your officers accountable. And presidents, this goes for that action plan list too. Hold your officers accountable, because you all agreed to put this in the club success plan. So you have to make it happen. Now, moments of truth. This is something every club should be doing. All right. If you don't know anything about it, please look it up. You can just put moments of truth in the search function. It's going to come up under your resources tab as well. Moments of truth is a series of questions that you give to your members, and they are able to rate or write down what their thoughts and feelings are about different aspects of the club. Now, you can use the Toastmasters International form, or you can make up one of your own, maybe taking some of the questions from their form, but then adding in some things that are really specific or problematic to your club. Do it anonymously so everyone can submit it with no names, and you're going to get a lot of great opinions and maybe some eye-opening comments on it. Because sometimes when people submit things anonymously, they're more apt to be open. Now, here's 2 questions And this is why I really want you to do this section, not only for the accountability part, but these two sections. How motivated are members to attend club meetings? If you put a 1 or a 2, because you know some members hardly ever show up, that's a red flag. If you put a 3, that's a yellow flag. You have to figure out why people don't want to attend club meetings. And it could be, things have changed over time. You may need to consider changing your day or time of your club meetings. It may result in something like that, or you could discover people aren't coming because they're bored, because they're not getting anything out of it, and you're not going to get those members to renew. So that's why this club success plan is so important, because it's recognizing some potential red flags in your club. Fix them now, at least plan to fix them now. And you may have a totally different club comes 2026 that's exciting and revived and just with energy. How motivated are members to sign up for meeting roles? Again, if it's 1 or a 2, people are signing up for the same role all the time, or so-and-so doesn't sign up for any role. This could go back to orientation, or the fact that they don't know how to execute that role. Make sure your mentors are there to explain all the meeting roles. Your VPE should also, when you see somebody that is being stagnant and they're not signing up, maybe sit next to them. Encourage them to take a role in the meeting and help them through it. I did that last week with a new member just for the timer role. And I showed her just how to hold up the cards, where, because we were hybrid. So she had to hold up the card for the person online and also the in-person audience. And then how to just when to do what, when. Sometimes you need that. So, and right here, if your club scored a 2 or a less, what is the factors? This is where all your officers coming together really can come up with some solutions. You can recognize, we are falling short on member orientation. We do not have a mentor program. We just throw people, we match them up and that's it. This will give you clues of where you just need to put in a little bit more time and effort. But you know what? That is going to go such a long way in your club. It really is. It's going to make members feel valued and wanted and encouraged to step out of their comfort zones. And what strategies will you use to get people to come to the meetings and take roles? Some clubs have legacy members. They did the old program. They have their DTM. They don't want to do pathways. That's okay. But that doesn't mean that they don't know things about the techniques of public speaking. They can give those tutorials, the Better Speaker series, the Leadership Excellence series, the Club Excellence series. They can talk about how to be a great mentor. They can talk about how to recognize their audience and how to be able to tweak a speech depending on the audience. And then all the techniques, vocal variety, body language, gestures, eye contact. They hold a wealth of knowledge that you need to tap into. And that may be all that's needed to get that member to start coming in, start volunteering to take more roles, and start really giving back to the club that they've been a member of. Don't turn your back on those members. You got to turn their focus around and really make them feel needed and wanted. Now, this club success plan, as I said, it addresses a lot of different things. But you have 7 officers that can work together and address various different aspects. So work together, and I am positive that if you really apply your club success plan and the various different suggestions or come up with your own, you can have a successful year and you will be in tip-top shape for when our district makes changes comes July 1st. Thank you.
You could come off mute and show Chris your appreciation and what you thought of her awesome presentation. I would really appreciate it. Let's hear it up for
Very good
Chris
job.
Velasco.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Woo!
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, wonderful
Okay.
job.
Terrific.